Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our 1 week long online FTP on AI tools for research and productivity. I welcome all the participants to today's session. Before moving forward today, just a quick recap of what we have covered yesterday. Yesterday, we have looked at various platforms like Asta, Elicit, etc., which help us move forward in the process of the review of literature, particularly gaining insights from finding papers and looking for papers themselves. Now, in today's session, we are going to be moving forward from there. We have one more tool to look at in that category. From there, we will move towards the next phase, which is trying to utilize some of these AI platforms for interacting with the documents, that is, research papers, articles, books, etc., and trying to gain some insights from the same. Post which, we will then move towards the idea of creation of or utilization of tools for writing. So let me share my screen and we will get started with the discussion for today. Okay, I hope my screen is visible and I am audible as well. So our first platform is a platform which is similar to ChatGPT and Gemini in the sense of the way we use it. It seems like a chatbot, but it has a slightly different exhaustive use case that we're going to be looking at, which is this platform right here. It's called Consensus. This is our first app for today. And this is the homepage of Consensus. It definitely requires for us to sign in into the platform. Let me post the link of this platform in the chat box so that anybody who is trying out simultaneously can also take a look at it. Now, once we are on the portal, we go to sign up. There are two options. We can directly sign up with an email, or we can directly log in using our Google account as well, which when clicked on brings us to the sign in option for Google. Once we do that, this is what we are brought to, wherein we get this kind of a output where we can see that there is a search window, which is similar to ChatGPT and Gemini, where here on the bottom, starting from the left, we have our settings option where we can shift the theme of the platform if required. Just like ChatGPT, we also have an incognito mode here, which does not save our chat history when it is turned on. And under the settings option, we have further information on subscriptions, notifications, etc. And in this subscriptions tab only, we get a snapshot of what all can we do with the free version of the platform. Right? This is the snapshot of the same right here. And this is on a month-to-month basis. It resets itself every 30 days. And then for preferences, we can choose to turn incognito mode on or off. We can add our institution if required, so that it can give us most accurate links, is what it says. We can also change the language of the portal depending upon our flexibility and our preferred choice of language. Then after that, we can come back to Consensus using this part right here by clicking on the new thread button. Change this. Yeah. Now, starting from the top, the new thread allows us to start a new chat every time. Clicking on the home button wherever we are in our search brings us back to this home page automatically. This shows us our history of chats. And this is the Research Hub tab, where we can create a database of our own library of papers, which we can upload here, which can sort of act as a base of knowledge for Consensus to give us accurate results from. Now, we come back to the primary thread option. And once we are back on the home screen, you notice that there are some options right here on the bottom. Starting from the left, when we click on it, we can switch between two options as to where we want consensus to search its papers from. We can choose between all the papers or just papers belonging to the medical field only. We can add our own sources also from here. And once we upload that using this button, we can make them a part of this search query as well. Now, from here, we can see that consensus allows us to search the result also in three ways. With the free version, it gives us a sort of a result of up to 10 papers. With Pro, 25 search results per month, and D, that is a review of up to 50 papers. Now, we're going to start off with quick and then we'll come back to the other ones. Now, it also has these indicative prompts here, which we can sort of look at in case we want to get an idea of how consensus works with prompts differently. With that, let's go ahead with the topic itself. We are going to go with the same example as yesterday. And then we simply click on search. It will take a few seconds. Now, since we are on the quick option, what it will do is it will allow us to go through, or it will go through 10 sources. And then on the basis of that, it will give us this short review of the 10 sources that we have seen, along with the papers that it is citing for us with these numbers right here. Right, and all the basic information about the paper is available in this sort of a callout that's coming out. Now, by going through this, we get an idea of the kind of thematic trend which these papers are indicating at. And if I click on export, I can simply click on copy with citations or copy text. Let's go to copy text first. We can simply paste it wherever we want. And as we can see, the overview gets pasted along with the references pre-inserted inside of the output. And we also get this disclaimer right here, which says that it was generated using consensus. In the similar manner, I hope we are able to follow it so far. Are there any questions up until this step? If there are any, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll move forward. Okay. Now, going forward, we can also export and say copy with citations. There, it allows us to choose between different citation styles, as we can see. And we can choose the one that we want. Let's say go with MLA this time. And post that, I can paste it here again. So it will try to follow the citation style as much as it can based on what we select. After that, we also can export it directly as a PDF, and it says right here generating a PDF option. So we would be able to get a direct PDF copy of the same output once it finishes generating, post which then we can see the results and differences in terms of formatting and other elements of fonts, etc. So it will take a few seconds as compared to the copy option, since it is going to generate an entire copy. Apart from that, we also get these follow-up suggestion questions, which we can ask on the basis of this review and our search query that we have initiated. And our PDF has been downloaded. This is what it looks like. The consensus logo is a part of the PDF output. Generates a pretty good report, and this is what it gives with the PDF version. References will definitely follow with DOI links wherever they are available, which can be directly clicked on, and we would be able to navigate directly to the text or the page where the text is located by clicking on that link there from there itself. So apart from this, what we also get is, as I said earlier, this bubble sort of callout which comes out whenever we click on any of these topics. If I click on it and let's say click on open in a new tab, what consensus does is it brings us inside of that paper, and we can do a lot more here. We are going to come to this in some time. We'll come back to this. But moving forward with the present output, here also we have the papers that we can see. And most of them, I think, are open access. As we can see that the PDF links are available for them, where I can directly click on any of these and it automatically would give me a copy of the text, whether it's a book, whether it's a dissertation, or whether it's a paper. So for any of those, we can get the copy by clicking on that button right there. Also, we can change the way the view comes from default to compact to a table view also. If we want to come to that, we'll come back to the table view in a minute, because with table view, we can get a lot of more information, which is available in the filter option as well. So we'll see that in a second. From here, I can click on export. And unlike our previous platforms, this one doesn't require for us to upgrade to any premium version to download the files in a CSV format. It allows us to do it directly. And all the 10 papers that we have looked at, which are available in this list, it gives us this information out of it. The title, the key takeaway from the paper, which is basically a short overview of what the paper is about, the authors, year of publication, number of times it has been cited inside consensus's database, abstract of the paper itself, then what kind of a study type is it? I don't know why it is overlapping, but it should not. There seems to be some error here. It also shows us the type of study. We'll see that with the filter. Name of the journal as to where it has been published. The journal quartile, which is SGR quartile ranking, and the DOI link, as well as the consensus link of the paper directly, if you want to open it inside consensus from here. So I can copy any of these links and it will automatically take me to the paper page that we have viewed earlier. And in the same manner, I can also download a RIS file as well, which I can import inside Mendeley, Zotero, or even EndNote if that is what we are using for our referencing purposes. Now, let's say I want to get a deeper dive into this paper. I can click on that and it will allow me to do that. We'll do that again in a second. Now we can save this paper in our library by creating a list using this bookmark option right here. I'll click on it and create a new list. A list is basically the label or the name that we give to the project so that it allows us to easily navigate between various different projects that we are working on simultaneously. So I'll just refresh it once. Yeah. I can put it in my favorites, which is the default list it has created. And I can create a new list, click on this, and then I can select which list I want it to be. Once I click on done, we can see now there are two tabs right here in the yes, I can see some questions in the chat box. I'll take them up once I finish showing this. Yeah. So under the Research Hub, we now get all these separate spaces, again similar to what projects allow us to do in ChatGPT, which is localize all our files for a specific topic and keep them all together so that we can then, when required, come back to them and interact with them. As we can see now, it has two papers. If I put this one also, it will go up to 3. Let's do a 4th one. So we can see the 3 papers now. Then this, if I want to cite a paper individually, as opposite to directly downloading a complete citation, I can click on this and it will give me the citation from here itself. There are 4 major styles it allows: AP, MLS, Chicago, and Harvard. You also get a BibTeX code and AIME numeric code as well if required. Same, I can copy this, paste it anywhere I want, and the citation then will be present there for my reference in the future. I can export this as a RIS individually also. if I want each paper to be separate. So this one consists only one citation inside of it, whereas this is the complete list of all the 10 papers that we have. Then now we are coming to the main part. Here, as we saw earlier, there is a table view that is coming in. Now, this table view is similar to what we did in Elicit with custom responses. However, in Elicit, what we were required to do was we had to specifically create the label for which we wanted the information to be generated. And as opposite to that, it gives us this output here for the top 3 results, where it shows us these elements. Whereas what the paper is about, which is the abstract, the population used, methods applied in the paper, what were the findings or the results of the papers, outcomes, sample size, if it has found any, study count, duration, country of origin, etc. And in case I want to do it for more than 3 papers in one go, then I have to upgrade. So that's one small limitation here, which comes out with this particular table view that is coming in. For the top 3 results, it will give us that in the free tier version of the platform itself. So let's just go back to the default version. And post that, I can click on any of these papers. What it does now is it will create or open this dialog box here, where if required, it gives me a PDF copy which I can read from here itself, or at least refer to. On the top, I get an abstract separately, and the snapshot tells the overview that you've just seen in the table version, but in this manner for each individual document. Population, methods, outcomes, results. Here, again, PDF abstract snapshot. Whatever information it is able to pull out from the paper, it will do that for our reference for the top 3 papers. After that, if we want it individually in the free version, we can do that, but we have to be careful because per month we only get 10 of these in the free version. So whichever paper we find most interesting, once we have gone through it, then we can decide if we want this or not. Because after 10, we have to wait for 30 days for it to be regenerated. Obvious way around it is to access the same using another account. Then we can, of course, take a look at it. Then, if I come back to the overview on the top, and once I click on this, on the title that is, then it was letting me go inside the document. I don't know why it is not happening now. Just a second. Okay. Seems to be some problem. Oh, all right. Well, I'll try that in some time. Fine. Now we can expand the size of this review by simply switching over from quick to pro if required. If I click on upgrade to pro, it will do it for 25 papers. Let's do that. In fact, let's go do deep only. That's better. We'll go with the same example, role of technology in digital humanities. Now, this time, it might take a few seconds more as opposite to what it did with the quick version, but it will basically follow the same method which we normally get when we try to access the deep research feature of other chatbots, where it goes through a step-by-step procedure of giving us the exact methodology of a review process that we try to follow. And it will go through all of these and then give us a detailed output here, where we can do all of the things that we have seen so far, but with 50 results instead of 10 now. And we can download those 50 papers as a list, again, just like we did with the 10 results in an Excel format. And there is one last thing which I have to show before we move ahead with the next platform, which is this filter tab right here. I'll have to wait for it to finish generating. because the filter tab has a lot of important options as to how we can select and customize the kind of things that we want to view, or the way in which we want the papers to be given for our reference as we move ahead in our process of looking at different resources and etc. So while it is generating, let me quickly see if there are any questions in the chat box. Consensus means it can be used for writing literature review. It will help definitely to get the process started. Most definitely, yes. And while it is generating, if there are any questions on this platform, please feel free to unmute and let me know so that we can have them right away. Yeah, I think somebody raised a hand. Yes, Ashutosh, sir. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. My
Evening.
only question is, whatever, say, papers we are cutting out from these sources,
Mhm.
are these all genuine? Because normally, if I talk about ChatGPT and all, they give pseudo citations.
Yes, absolutely. No, they're absolutely genuine because we are getting a link for the papers right here. That is why I am not relying on ChatGPT to give me citations when I want to generate them, right? In fact, we're going to address that also today. There is one other platform which I will be showing today at the end, which lets us actually verify whether the citations we have generated are true or not. So we'll come to that as well by the end of this discussion. But as of now, yes, definitely. All of these are actual results that it is generating for us. Right. Any other questions? Okay. We'll just let it finish generating, and then we should be able to, or we can let it generate. I'll come back to the first. If it lets me, yeah, we are thankfully we are able to do that. Now, this is the first version that we saw. With the filter option, we can filter the results just like we have done with other platforms, but in a slightly more detailed manner. I'll start from the bottom itself. So firstly, it allows us to filter our list of papers according to the country of origin, something Paperity was doing. We do have a much larger list here, however. And apart from that, what we also can do is we can filter the papers according to the field of specific study, which is subject domain. And it is an alphabetized list that we can see right here. We can select multiple options out of which wherever it is falling, it will give us the results if they are available. I'm randomly selecting 4, and whichever papers are linked with these 4 filters are now only visible. Let me resend any of the filters we have selected. The good part is, even if there are multiple of them, we can simply reset it by clicking the reset button like I just did. We can also filter our result according to the methodology, or which is we can select anything. So if I hover over the design part for a second, it says that consensus allows us to classify the type of the paper according to the study design. And with that, there is a color coding that's done on the side of the paper. Once we select this filter, which shows us, just like ASTA was giving us a relevancy score, this gives us a sort of a value of whether strong the evidence for the design is inside the paper itself, according to this scheme. Green means most strong and red means the least strong. And we can select whichever categories we want. Let's just say we go with 3. And once we do that, we can get the results minimized, and it will give us an output according to that. Apart from that, we can also, oh, this is the reset button right here. We can also filter it according to, let's say, if we are very specific about the size of the samples that we have in mind, the duration of the study, number of days, and we can also see that whether it is controlled studies or human studies only. That really depends on the very specific field that we are trying to work into. And then, of course, there are general filters, right from the year of publication that we can look at. Again, just like Elicit and the platforms, we can filter according to the quartile. Let's just say I want only Q1. It will refresh and it will give me an output accordingly. Then we also have exclusion of preprints if we don't want those. then only those papers with whom we can interact or talk to. So let's just do that. And then of course, open access, which means PDFs are available. So now if I go to this paper, there should be an option here, which lets me interact. Yeah. Now here we are inside the paper where we can see that there's an option to talk to it. And inside this paper, we get further more information in detail, quartile, and since we selected only Q1, so you can see that it is giving me that particular reference. We get an overview. The full text analysis is something which is a part of the pro version. They're going to make it available for the free version, as they're saying. These are the references that consensus can find from inside the paper itself. Citations. All of this can be downloaded, whatever I want to, just by going to the section right there, to the relevant tab, and we get that output right here. Then we can also come to this part and ask it some questions pertaining to that specific paper that we are inside into. And it will go through the answer. And on the basis of that, it gives me a response like this. However, this functionality is pretty limited in consensus in the free version, something we're going to address next with our next set of tools. So this is the answer that we get. Research focus, themes, preferences, and basic details about the paper. Same as our previous result, copying, downloading it directly or exporting it as PDF is also available. Now, this is our second result that we generated with the detailed version, which is the pro version. And we can see the difference here now. We have about 50 papers that have been looked at. And if I click on load more, it will give me more papers if I want to. And now I can download all 50 of these also, right? With a simple, it is regenerating this overview for me. And then this larger question of whether this area, which it is showing in terms of a green and red color coding, which basically is called as a consensus meter. What this does is, out of all the results or all the papers that it has gone through, it tries to form a central key question on the basis of the search query that we have initiated, and then gives it a score. And these scores can be divided into yes, no, possibly, and not possible at all, depending on how we look at it. If I click on all details, we will see how these results have come. Apart from that, we get a much detailed review right here, along with the deeper analysis of all the figures and everything. So this is what the deep research feature can do, as opposite to a regular search that we run. And assuming that I want to download this, that's possible. We just have to find the download button, and we can download it in the PDF or the Excel file for just the list of works also. So this was the first platform for today. And with that, we are at the end of that section of tools, which allows us to get insights from papers. Now, from here, we are moving towards the next category, which is interacting with these papers that we are downloading and see if what kind of information we can get to it or we can get from it. Now, there are two tools that I have selected for the demo of the same. One of them, the first one, allows us to interact with single papers at a time or one paper at a time, whereas the other one is much more detailed and allows us to do quite a bit. So we'll go to the first one. The first one is called explainpaper.com, and this is the homepage of the website. I'm going to paste this link in the chat box. I've pasted the link of Explain Paper. We also have to sign in, just like we did with Consensus. These are all the options that we have for creating an account, Google, GitHub, or a regular email account if you want to do that. Once we have logged in, we are brought to this tab. This is the primary section. Let me delete what I think this is something I uploaded earlier. This is what you would get when you open it for the first time. And before going any further, I will first show this part. With the free version, we can upload, I think, up to 5 papers per month, 5 or 6 papers. And there, whichever plan we select, it will be up to 1 paper at a time. Now, this particular platform is primarily useful for those papers where we have graphs or formulas and we want to get more insights into those. So there, the upgrade version helps us quite a bit for this particular platform. However, with the free version also, we are able to import our entire Zotero library, whatever references we have saved in Zotero. If we want to do that, it will transition us to Zotero. We can then follow the on-screen steps, and we would be able to import all our list of papers here. Assuming we don't have that, what we do is we click on upload paper here. Explain paper allows us to upload papers in 2 ways. One is through a PDF. Currently, it only supports PDF formats, or else to upload a URL for a PDF file. Now, this goes without, this is a given that the URL that we have, that we upload, should not be behind any paywall, because otherwise it will not bypass that. It has to be an open access paper. So it's always better to download it and upload it again. So this was the paper that I uploaded, and I'm uploading the same again. We can see the title here. And what we do is we click on upload from here, and it will take a few seconds for it to finish its uploading part. And automatically we will transition to a new screen. On our left here, what we would get is a table of contents for the document, the page list that we can change from right here on the top. It's basically a reader on which we can read the paper if required and change the theme from here. Zooming in is also available here in the central itself. And the main part is available here on the right. There are 3 tabs that are available for our reference. The first one is called paper itself. Now, the paper option, what it does is it gives us all of this, title and authors, and it gives us the small gist as to what the paper is all about. And it also gives outlines of a paper, but for that, we have to upgrade. The main part, however, of this platform is not this. The main part are these 2 options right here. The second one is called explain. So the way that this works is for the formulas especially, or for any graphs that we have, if that is for the math section, we have to unlock something called a snap explain. That is available here, but unfortunately, we won't be able to demo that part, because then again, it will be put to the pro version. With a normal text that we have inside any document, let's say I'm reading through the paper itself, I found something which I am not clear enough about as to what this is trying to say. This graph could have been explained, but for that, I would need access to this. So assuming that, let's say, for example, I'm picking this paragraph, I'm not clear about what this paragraph is trying to convey. What we can do is we can simply select this section by highlighting over it, and automatically this section would be outlined here in the explain tab. And by selecting or deselecting this bar of understanding, we can change its degree of detailing in terms of its language. And then I can click on explain, and post that it will go through this and it will give me a follow-up explanation of this topic, which we can see right here. The text articulates a pedagogical challenge in effectively structuring the course on so and so, and then goes on to talk more about it. And if I just switch over the language to the most beginner level, let's say a middle schooler, again, I can click on explain. It will, the authors of the course realized that they had a lot of information to cover in 16 weeks. So same thing, but in 2 different versions, just by going over that section, which we are not clear about. I can go through this entire one, for example, and that will give me that. Let's say undergraduate this time, maybe. Clicking on explain, and you would get an explanation here. Now, let's say I want to paste this somewhere. There's a small copy button here, which I can copy the output in the clipboard too. I can paste it here. And if I switch over back to the platform, history, earlier it was coming. I mean, some days, I think 1 or 2 months back when I tried this, but seems now they have made it a part of the pro version again. They keep on doing that with some features. Now, post that, once we have all the explanation that we have in our for the sections that are not clear to us, I can go to the chat option. Now with chat, we get some simple questions which we can ask in the free tier of the paper itself. If you want to directly chat with the document, that is something that our next tool will cover. It seems they have blocked this. Okay. Sorry for that. Yeah, this is what we can do with this. I can ask a follow-up question. Let's try something a little bit. Hopefully this works. Since it doesn't let me chat with the papers directly, I will select the entire text. Click on explain. And once we have our output, we then go to the follow-up question part. We can ask something like this. What are the major areas of future research for this topic? And then on the basis of the text that we have selected, it definitely will give us the output. So even though the chat option might be disabled, we can interact with the paper by clicking on the selection criteria. And I can go on asking follow-up questions as much as I want. There's no limitation on that. So very small platform, but very powerful in terms of what it can do. Now, this platform, as we saw very clearly, has a lot of limitations. And there are other platforms like this, which allow us to interact with documents individually. There is another tool called Humata. I'll put down those names in case you want to try it out. The ones that I'm mentioning, these are similar to the one that I've shown. We also have this other one called Chat PDF. These are two that I know off the top of my head. They are pretty similar to this. The major limitation with all of those is that it doesn't allow us to have a multimodal approach or a detailed approach to the kind of information that we would like to pull from multiple papers at the same time, or to have that free hand in terms of trying to ask unlimited number of questions or get different outputs from that. So in order to do that, we are going to transition to our next tool for today, which is again one of the most popular platforms that we have. Now, this platform is used in multiple ways, and this is the only tool I'd like to pause here for a minute. As I'm sure some of us know, I conduct regular FDPs on AI tools for both teaching and research. This is the only tool which finds a place in both the lists because it can be used in both the ways. And again, I'm sure some of us know this, but I'm going to demo it anyways in case some of us are seeing it for the first time, which is Notebook LM. And I'm especially excited about a new feature that they have added to Notebook LM, I think 2 or 3 days back. That feature is now active for all of us to try out, and it takes a very powerful step in the direction of research especially. And I'm sure, as many of us know, originally Notebook LM started out with the idea of being a note-taking app, but now it has been sort of converted to a research assistant or research partner, as Google very fondly likes to call it. So this is the homepage of Notebook LM. If anybody is looking at this for the first time, I'm going to paste this link also. Notebook LM link is now there in the chat box. Now, since it is by Google, we simply need a Google account to access it. And this is one of those applications where with the free version also, we can do quite a lot with it. And we can simply sign in. Once we sign into the portal, we are brought to this part right here, where we would be able to see the entire collection of whatever projects we have created. These are some of the things I am sort of working on currently. Let me delete the extra ones. Yeah. Now, the first time you open this, what we do is, so currently, if you can notice, currently I'm using the pro version of this platform, and we can see the differentiation between pro and free version. The real major difference is that it with the number of primary sources that you can give to the platform. So I'll show what I mean that in a second. What I mean by that. What we do is we click on this option right here, which is called create new notebook, and we are brought to this dialog box right here. Now, Notebook LM's primary strength is its capability of allowing us to work with multiple formats together at the same time. So it supports PDF and text files, but apart from that, it also now supports Google Doc files, or Word docs, MP3 files, all the major formats for pictures, images, etc. Not only that, we can also directly link it up with our Google Drive or Google Workspace of the same email account and directly import files from there. So let's say I'm working on a paper and all my literature review papers and my write-up is inside of my Google Drive, I can import it from there. Plus, it also allows a user to interact or work with websites and YouTube videos directly without transitioning between various different formats. And lastly, it also has this section which allows us to input our own manually written text also. And all of these are called as sources for Notebook LM. Now, sources are something from where Notebook LM derives its information from. And we'll see how powerful this is in just a second. So, as I said, the only difference between the free and the pro version is the number of these sources that we can give. So we can always add a source by clicking on this button on the top. Since I am using a paid version of the platform, it allows me to upload up till 300 documents. So let's say I am working on a project and I have, which is, I mean, that seems quite far-fetched, but assuming that I have 300 documents I want to put into the platform, I can do that at a single point of time. I don't have to do it separately. And with the free version, we can do that up to 50 papers. So in a normal Google Notebook LM account, which is, maybe I can open it here. Let me see. Okay, seems to be some problem with my login credentials. Yeah, there we go. It will ask me for a two-factor authentication since I am using the incognito tab. So just give me a second while I upload that and approve it. It will just take a second. I have done that. We should be now inside the portal. And this is a free version, which we can normally use. Everything is same, just the sources are different. See, now here we have 50. There we had 300. So this is one major point of differentiation. Rest all, as we can see, is the same. I'll come to that update, which I'm mentioning in a few minutes. Now we come back to the original tab and we can start uploading files here. So let's say I have 10, 15, 20 papers which I want to upload from here. Let's just randomly take 2 or 3 papers. I'm saving this one. This one has also downloaded. And we should be having one more. Okay. Rukat has one. Okay, let's say this one will work. Okay, I think I have about 4 papers with me now. So what we do is we click on choose file and upload all the papers that we have in the platform, and we get those sources here. So once it finishes uploading, that's when all the options become active now. The middle section here works just like ChatGPT or Gemini or any the chatbot that we have. We can ask questions to it, and we can start get information on the topic that we are researching for. What are the major research trends in the field right now? So when I start off like with a question like this, we can see that all these papers are check marked, which means that it is going to study all these 4 documents. It says consulting your sources, and it will give me an answer. Let's examine that for a second. The major research trends in the field of DH currently revolve around deeper integration of so and so, and then a list of the topics follow. Now, a good part is with this is that the possibility of incorrect results, as opposite to when asking a question to a chatbot normally, decreases to a very large extent, because this answer that it is generating, or this response that it is generating for us, is out of all the documents that we are uploading. So this is its go-to primary base on the basis of which it is looking at or giving us this answer. And if we want to verify that, what we can do is we can see these options right here, these numbers. I can go to any of those. It will give me this small pop-up where I will get a keyword, and it will show me from which part and which file, this is the name of the file or the paper, from where this information or what information has been pulled. And if I go to that source, if I click on this actually, on the left panel, a text copy of that paper will open, or that source will open. And in the case of a video, a transcript will come here. Whether if it's a text input we are giving, the text will come here. If it's a audio or a video, whatever it is able to pull in the form of a transcript, that will show here. And this is called the source guide, where it shows us what on the top. We again have a separate abstract of the source itself with the important keywords as to what the paper is about. And then this section is the highlight which has been used to generate this first paragraph of this response. And in a similar manner, we can see that all of them are numbered like this. We can transition to any source, consult that while looking at the answer, and establish a greater degree of context from there. So this becomes very powerful in that way. Despite all of this, Google is very clear about this. Or at the bottom, this message will constantly display, which says Notebook LM can be inaccurate. So we have to be careful about the output that we are getting. So it says, please double check our responses. So it's pretty good there as well. Now, coming to the middle portion again, we can copy paste this if we want to by clicking on the copy button here, and we can paste this response wherever required. And this is the entire answer that we have gotten. And once we start asking it questions, another really good thing about Notebook LM is that it will customize itself according to the questions that the user is asking. So every time I ask a question, we will get these follow-up suggestions, which we can actually use for if we, let's say we are stuck somewhere and we don't know where to start from. Suggest some theories which I can use to write a paper on the topic. So since now I've asked for theories, the suggestive questions on the bottom will change again, and I will get a new list of questions once the answer finishes generating. Again, it will stick to all these 4 options only. And here are our answers. It is relying on its information that it has, plus the papers that we have gone through, and it gives us this very detailed analysis. And let's say if I, at some point, I feel that this chat is not the exact version that I'm looking for, I can simply click on refresh, and the entire chat disappears. And I am back to square one from where I can start off again. Another very important small piece of update that we have is, or a small feature that we have is, I can check or uncheck any of this. So now let's say for the next question, I and this is very useful when we have more than, let's say, 30, 40, 50 papers in our source list. Assuming that I don't want the notebook or the project to go through this paper, I can simply uncheck that. Now, when I ask a question, it will only go through these three papers. ये fourth वाला papers consider नहीं होगा. It will not consider this fourth paper when it generates a new output for me. So in this way, we also have a control over what sources we want it to refer to, even if we upload them all here. That also is something we can take a look at. Then in the chat section, we have this ribbon which allows us to configure the notebook, where we can choose from two options. One is the conversational goal or style, which is a default, a learning guide voice, which is best for educational content. Now, as I said, this platform has multiple uses. It's used equally like a note-taking app by students to as a research sort of, I wouldn't use the word research assistant exactly, but a tool for getting research insights like we are doing. And this can change the language of the output style of the language based on what I select. Response length, currently it is default. This refers to the chat output that we were getting. This part. This is the default size. I can change it to longer also if required. And I can save it, or I can create a custom style of conversation. Customize your style, respond at a PhD student level, pretend to be a role-playing game host. Let's just say respond like a researcher who is an expert in the field of digital humanities and literature. We can specify the subject area, and this prompt can also be very big. We have up to 10,000 characters that we can enter here, which will give a lot of context to the notebook to work with. Click on save, and we are ready to go. Let's ask the next question. I am writing a paper on methods of creation of a digital archive. Generate an introduction draft for me. Now, as we can see, we can not only use it for interacting with documents, but for getting outputs for in terms of writing also. So this also becomes our first tool in the writing category, which we're going to transition to as we go ahead. However, from this moment, I would always urge that not to use this output anywhere directly. As we all know, that might fall under the category of AI plagiarism. So we'll have to rewrite it, of course. But this is what it can create. You can see the output length is much larger this time. And copy this and paste it wherever I want to. So this is what it has given to us from right here. We have subsections. That was something which are much in detail now, as opposite to the previous output. And it also creates a further roadmap for me as to what I can do further for writing this paper forward or taking it forward. So this is just corresponding an introduction draft. This is just the middle section of this. Now we come to the right. This part is called the studio, where we can get a lot of things done. We will start off with the most easiest one, which is based on whatever documents, videos, audio, blogs, websites I enter here, it can create a mind map for me. Now, this mind map is very powerful because it won't be a static mind map. It would be a dynamic mind map in its nature. And what it will do is it will give me all the topics that my sources are covering in this kind of a interactive version. and it will allow me to go deeper and deeper into various layers of the papers. Now, this is quite useful with individual papers. If I want to sort of, let's say, get a visual representation of one single document. And for some of those, we can see we have further arrows inside. So in text analysis, for example, we have text mining, sentiment analysis, etc. Now, as I said, this map is interactive. Now, I can go and zoom into any of these topics, and I can take a snapshot of it by clicking on this download button. If I want to display it somewhere, maybe in some way, especially if I'm teaching something. So that's where this is also useful. As you can see, the text is very high in terms of its clarity level. It's not blurred at all. And it is in the exact version which I've selected. If I remove this arrow and click on download again, a second version will download where this section won't be visible. Plus, assuming I want to know more about sentiment analysis, all I have to do is click on any of these tabs. The map will zoom out. It will create an auto prompt on its own, discuss what the sources say about sentiment analysis in the larger context of the broader topic, which is text analysis, and we get a further output like this. And every time the suggested questions will keep on changing. So this is the first one. These two are very interesting. I'll just come to those in a minute because they take a lot of time to generate. And as the name suggests, they will generate audio and video overview of all our sources. Now, as far as from a research point of view, we also have this reports tab, which I find very interesting because what they do is they allow us to get pre-created templates. For example, as we can see under the suggestions tab, somebody's mic is on. Somebody's mic is on. Can I please request you to mute? Sorry for that. Yeah. Now, these are the pre-created formats instead of it. So these are all very good. For example, if I go to a briefing doc, now what a briefing doc does is it will give me a further summarized version of all my sources in the form of a guide which I can follow. Where if I let's say I don't have the time to go through all four, or if I want to get an overview of all of my papers in one go, it will generate that report for me in just a few seconds on the basis of based on whatever sources I select or deselect from here. But not only that, we also have these very interesting parts right here. Let's say a research proposal, where it automatically assumes a prompt, a grant proposal for a digital humanities project. It will generate both of them. It will take some time, of course, because it is going to read through all of these and then generate an output on the basis of that. So we'll just give it a few seconds. In the meantime, if you have any questions on what we've discussed so far, please feel free, because we have a bit more to cover, and then we'll go ahead from there. If there are any questions on any of these things that I've shown, let me know. This is the briefing doc now. This is the summarized version of the entire all four papers that I've uploaded. The more number of yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So the mind map that you just showed, that we can create a mind map. So in case we want to use a snapshot of the mind map in a paper, will that also come under AI plagiarism?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, because the policy regarding that is very clear, that we cannot insert anything in a paper, especially any image which is generated using any of these platforms. Right? So yeah, that will not be permitted. Yeah. Okay. So now, once we have this output, if we, let's say I want to see what prompt NotebookLM has used, I can click on show prompt. This is the prompt that was working in the background to generate this report for us. We can copy paste it. It's a custom version. I can copy this entire overview also and paste it like this. Of course, it is always saved forever until I delete it inside NotebookLM itself. So this, I'm just showing that it is possible to copy it as well. It is still generating the next tab as we were looking at it. Similar to that, we can generate other forms of reports. Now, study guides are useful when we have very large texts, because what study guides do is that they give us a set of questions to work with. This is more on the academic side of things. I spend some more time on this typically whenever we discuss this as a part of the tool AI tools for teaching purpose, because here we would get a list of a detailed question banks on the texts that we upload, be it videos, be it blogs with answers. And blog post, of course, converts the entire output into a blog post. Exploratory article would write an exploratory article, and a white paper would actually try to follow the draft of what a white paper would look like. Let's try to generate that also. We'll get all three, in fact. And not only that, we can also get the report. I think the reports will not come anymore. Yeah, to generate a custom version. If I click on create on our own, now based on this output, in theory, I'm saying in theory, we can get it to generate an entire output of what a paper should look like, which is basically a draft. Again, I will say what I said earlier, which is not to use that output directly anywhere, but it would definitely work. Let's say yes. And we can also select the language in which you want the paper to, or the draft to be written, not the paper, but the draft. Okay, the research proposal is ready. It has given it a working title also. And then, of course, it tries to follow the format. Introduction and rationale, state of the field, justification, project aims and objectives, methodology, what analysis it will do, and the rest of the things. Right? So very strong. And again, just to bring it into perspective, just on the basis of 4 sources. Now we can of course extrapolate what it would do if we had more papers here. Not only that, we also get a list of references here. We of course would have to check whether these references are correct or not, but most of the times it is referring to the references from the reference section of these documents. So typically they are not incorrect. So far I have not found it to be that incorrect. I think once or twice, barring some exceptions. So now I'm more curious to see what it does with the rest of the 3 reports, but it will take some time. As we can see, it is generating them together. Apart from that, when we are trying to work with the academic side of things, it can generate flashcards and quizzes for us, which we can actually display in the classroom and give them the quiz, ask them to guess the answer to the questions, etc. And audio and video overview basically create a video version of all that we have put in. So let me see if I can transition over to my other tab. Let me see if I have any pre-created versions. I don't think I do. Yeah, I do. So this is another one of my notebooks, because if I start creating audio and video right now, it will eat up a lot of time. So I'm going to just stop sharing my screen for a second. If you want to listen to the audio, I have to share a tab. So I'm resharing it. We should be able to see the other notebook now while it generates the other one in the background. This is the audio.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something fundamental, listening and speaking.
Things we do all the time, but maybe don't always think how we do them.
Exactly. And we've looked at some interesting stuff, educational guides, a TEDx talk too, quite a mix.
The idea is to pull out the best bits, right? The really useful nuggets to help you sharpen those skills quickly.
Yeah, without getting bogged down in,
Of course, this is not FDP on this on teaching, so we're not going to listen to the entire thing. But just to keep in mind, we can also interact with this. So if I go to the interact button here, my next bit of conversation would be with this podcast. So I'm asking question to it. Let's see what it says.
Oh, hey there, how can we help?
what are some of the areas of research that I can do in this topic?
That is a fantastic question.
Oh, we love it when we get asked about deeper dives.
Okay, let's unpack this because the topic is so broad.
Right. Listening and speaking covers linguistics, psychology,
Education, even organizational behavior.
If you're looking for research areas, think about the interconnectedness.
For instance, you could research how weaknesses in speaking.
Or maybe a lack of fluency impacts listening comprehension.
That's a great angle. Or you could look at specific contexts.
Like researching the effectiveness of different GD models.
Group discussions, yes. Or how cultural differences in nonverbal cues
Affect team management skills in those GDs. That's very specific.
Our sources mention the importance of.
So we can, of course, talk to our outputs like this, audio podcasts, and ask questions from there, see what kind of insights we're getting. And this entire audio can be downloaded also there's a download button here, which we can see. We can do the same for our output also. Similarly, we also get a video overview where it will create a short 8 to 10 minute video and explain everything with a voiceover. And we can't interact with the video. The interaction is possible with just the audio part. So that's the other two features. Let me switch over back to our original notebook so that we can see the other outputs that it has written, particularly the ones on white paper and the article writer. So we are back on now all the outputs are ready. This was the white paper, I think. This is the paper right here. It says below the output what category of output it is. And this is what it has generated. Similarly, we can also read through the exploratory article, where there's even a code it has managed to pull from, I think, one of the sources. And this is the output right here. In this manner, we can explore this entire studio part and get all these outputs. Video is also possible. All right. Now, before I open for questions, I told in the beginning that we are going to be looking at, okay, I'm sorry, I forgot one part. Now, I told you that there is one new feature which Notebook LM has added recently. This is what I'm really excited about because it allows us to do something really new now. We can see that earlier, we only could upload our sources. Now they have added this button, which is called Discover Sources. So this can speed up the process of both literature review and so far whatever we have seen, but with a much larger number of papers in one go. So I click on Discover. We have this new tab here where we can switch between web, or if we have any files in our drive, let's say 15, 20, 100 papers in our drive. And we can also do fast research and in-depth report also, which is basically deep research of Gemini. That option has been added here now. So we'll go with the same example. Currently, we don't have any sources here. The role of technology in digital humanities. For the want of time, I will just keep it fast research. We can get a much larger result with deeper dive. We'll click on go, and it will work in two steps now. First, it will run through the websites for us and find the relevant documents, pages, and articles for us. And then I can decide as a user, there we go, see 7 more sources it has. I can click on view. And I can decide by clicking on these links whether I want to have this in my source list or not. So it tries to automate that part also. Now, this is the overview. And the moment I click on import, all of them will be converted to my sources now. And again, the tool now works in the same manner. It also tries to automate that part for me. And if I go to a deeper research, it will go through a much larger set of documents. Let's try it. I think we have some time on our hands. Let me go to a new notebook. I'm going to be taking up some little bit more time. So just to have that in mind, let me go with some another topic now. Communication skills. I'm keeping it generic so that we get larger results. And we have turned over to deep research. Earlier, it went through, I think, about 10 sources or so. Now we should be, it will take some time and we should be getting, I think, around maybe 50, 70, might not, it might cross 100 also. Depends on the topic that we've put in. While it is doing this, I said that I will end the session with showing a platform which allows us to check whether a citation is true or not. This is the platform right here. This is one additional tool for today. I was going to show it tomorrow, but I think we can cover it today only. It's called Cite True. I've pasted the link also. We have to sign in into it. Very simple, very straightforward platform. We have to enter our list of citations here. Let me see if we have something. I think we did have a lot of reports we downloaded. So yeah, I think this one will work. No, this is a paper. This is from consensus. Let's take these. Actually, these are references. I will have to go for a citation. Just a minute. It is still generating, so I can't exit this one. Let me try it with this only. We can select all of them, whatever list we have of citations. We paste them here. I'm removing this last one because it's not completely selected. We click on verify. It will ask us to confirm and verify. And then it will take a few seconds based on the number of sources we have put in. And it will start going through them one by one. And check whether it is a true actual sort of citation or not. Let's see what it does. Since all of them are not citations, they are references. So I'm not sure that it will give or it will say that these are citations because they're just titles. But when we have a proper citation in place, it will differentiate between the real ones and the ones which are created, and it will show them. Okay, so seems that these two are not correct. This one seems to be a correct one. It has found the paper. This is not found in any of the databases. So consensus also has some limitations, which means these are all the databases it is going through. Fake, real, we can see that, right? So very powerful platform and free to use in terms of its basic functionalities. Okay, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, I think I sort of removed the result. Click on verify again. Confirm and verify, and we'll keep on going now. So this is how it works. And we can give it a feedback. I mean, if you have any suggestions to improve. Okay, it is still generating on this one. So these are the platforms. I'm keeping the screen shared. Once it finishes generating, I just want, okay, it is done. As has gone through, I think 19 sources in total. This is pretty new as of now. So it is taking some time to get more citations, but I can click on import now and it works equally well here. 20 or so sources have now been added directly without manually uploading them. So pretty powerful platform in that sense. Okay, I think we're exactly on time. We have 15 minutes with us. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can have some questions now. Thank you so much for listening to me. We had a pretty long session today also.